Speaking of which, that's my new book, kind of. Except it's not for the Democrats; it's for the left.
Yes.
But basically, it's just like what should the left want? They should have a set of demands that are clearly defined, and then they can organize around that. It's called What's Left. The Democrats should have something equivalent. They should have we don't know what would happen if, let's say, there was a revolution and the left took over. We don't know what they would do, but we should. And we should know voters should know what the Democratic Party would do if they found themselves with overwhelming control of the branches of government. But we don't know that either. And really, they didn't do shit for 3 years under Biden. What did they do in 2020, in 2022, 3 and 4? Nada, nothing, except support Ukraine and Israel.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Yeah, that is the brand, right? It seems like they have come to the conclusion that they don't have to do anything.
Right.
That just being a placeholder.
Clearly they're mistaken, though, but yeah.
Yeah, in their minds, the Republican Party is so bad that nobody would vote for them. And so if they're just a placeholder...
And they're wrong.
Yeah, they're wrong. Obviously, Trump.
What's hilarious
Trump won, right?
Trump, what's funny is both parties are about, as popular as herpes right now. But Democrats are less popular. Just think about where we're at, right? Donald Trump basically, by his own self, tanked the entire global economy and lost 14% of all market capitalization in the securities markets, and may be heading us towards a recession or worse right now.
Maybe.
All by his own self. And there's mad chaos in minority communities surrounding deportations and stuff. There's nobody knows what's going on in terms of foreign policy. It's a mess. We don't know if we're going to be at peace with Iran or we're going to bomb Iran. Nobody knows. Anyway, the chaos is crazy. His polls are tanking. He's still more popular than the Democratic Party. So if I'm the Democrats, I'd be thinking, wow, they think we suck even worse than this guy that they also think sucks. That's we're the suckiest of them all. Their approval is at the lowest ever in the history of polling.
27%, I think, the last one. And Donald Trump has no wins. He has failed across the board.
True.
Failed in Ukraine, failed in the Israel thing. Well, at least I think he did. It's basically backing the genocide.
He's failed. He could still win in Ukraine. He could. He would have to, I think he would. I think he needs an in-person summit with Putin. That's what needs to happen.
It wouldn't help. I am of mind. Sputniik,
it's not Reagan and Gorbachev where they
Sputniik and RT is not coming back. That is where I am at this point, because the American president can't give Russia what they want. He just can't. He doesn't have it in him. Like for Putin, it's about national security. He's assumed this role, my philosophical job, but before I leave this earth, is to secure Russia. That's what I'm doing. And okay, so what does that mean? No NATO in Ukraine. How do you do that? How do you validate that it won't be NATO?
I think the answer is to have a Kurdistan type solution, where basically on the it's de jure versus de facto.
No,
Russia has de facto control. There's a little dotted line, sort of like the line of control in Kashmir. Technically speaking, Donetsk is in Ukraine, but everyone knows it's not really. I think that's the way.
It would be unacceptable from Russia's point of view. These are
the U.S. can't give that. The U.S. cannot give that to him, though.
Exactly. But that's my point. That's what I mean. The things that they would need are the things they have to take at the barrel of a gun, and a president can't.
Or maybe you set it up. Or maybe you validate it for the Americans by saying, okay, so we do it this way, and then in 5 years there's a plebiscite, and the locals with international monitoring, they all vote whether they want to be in Russia, and they will all vote to be in Russia. So they would. So
the loser does not get to dictate terms.
Right.
It's just that, how is Trump dictating anything?
Well, he has leverage. He has some leverage.
Where? What is his leverage?
It's the sanctions and stuff.
They don't care about the sanctions.
Yeah,
they flat out, we don't care about the sanctions.
But they're more annoying than life-threatening. Yeah.
Europe has tanked economically. Russia has been going at 4.5% clip. and
True.
has moved into like the number 4th or 5th spot for GDP.
Yeah.
They don't care.
Yeah.
Like from their point of view, look, man,
They have alliances they never had before.
I will tell you that from their point of view, they don't give a shit what the West is talking about to itself. That's where I think they're at. I mean, put yourself in their shoes for a moment. For the last 3 years, even according to the New York Times, the U.S. has been killing Russians to the tune of like 100,000, 200,000. Europe has been going with this jingoism and this just racist hatred for something, for what is effectively a stab in the back myth. Putin just wanted to use 150,000 troops to take all of Europe. Okay, that's nonsense. And we know it's nonsense, right? They were rational actors in the way that they were dealing with the stuff in the same way that the United States would deal with the Cuban Missile Crisis. That is not the narrative that Europe or America is going with. And all of the negotiation attempts, Minsk 1 and 2, and now they're like, we want to Minsk 3. Good luck. There's no trust. Even with, like, if you think of the Israel thing, where for the most part, Trump comes in with a deal and then lets Israel violate the ceasefire that was supposed to take place on energy infrastructure. Ukraine violated the entire way through. The U.S. had nothing to say about it. Trump got rid of NAFTA. Trump is putting tariffs on countries that he had worked out trade deals with in his first term, got rid of the missile treaties associated with the Soviet Union. All of these things, right? The JCPOA just pissed it away, murdered Soleimani, and now it's like, hey, we need to have another JCPOA. Why would any country, especially Russia, that the U.S. has been a part of the war, by the way, or for the matter Iran, trust anything that is coming out of America? They don't.
No, I hear you. I do.
It's like it is maddening, frustrating to me because I felt like I gave it a chance. Like I didn't take this position immediately. My position was kind of like, I wait and see what happens.
Well, that's what you have to do.
Yeah. And then Trump comes up with this comically ridiculous plan was like, we're going to take the nuclear power plant that's in Russia at this point under the Russian Federation. Okay. How do you plan to do that, Trump?
Shit, good luck.
Yeah. Like, that's what I mean, right? Like, you see the plan and you're like, are you serious right now? Initially, when I saw Witkoff's plan of the 5 regions and no NATO, I was like, that's hopeful. That's actually, he's sticking his neck out, you know? And then the other stuff came out and it's like, oh God. Like, dude, you're not getting it. It's like, I thought, when I saw that plan, I thought either Donald Trump has crafted a plan that he knows is going to fail so he can walk, or he's out to lunch.
I don't think he can get there. I mean, look, this kind of level of diplomacy is hard. And, I mean, it really would be hard for any American president, no matter how excellent their temperament, to get it done. But Donald Trump he just doesn't have, I mean, he's like an ADHD president. He's like, wait, there's Iran. And wait, it's like, well, what about Bitcoin? He's all over.
And it's like, we need it done in a week. It's like, okay, dude, are you serious right now? Like, you're trying. Like, if you listen to Witkoff is talking about this massive emancipatory deal that is going to redefine Europe and Russia, the U.S. and Russian relationships for the foreseeable future. Like, that's the way Witkoff is talking about this stuff on Sean Hannity. And you listen to that, you're like, he makes you even hopeful. He's like, whoa, that's pretty amazing. Like, that's wow, that's awesome. Like we can put to bed this Cold War. This is fantastic. This is great. And then you see the proposal, and you're like, okay. Like, okay. Are you being serious now? I would tell you, when I heard Witkoff, a tiny bit of hope. Like the Grinch Stole Christmas, where his heart grew a little bit. I was like, oh, maybe there's something there. Maybe he's going to have these business agreements. Now, to be fair, there are 2 tracks of negotiation.
It's not done yet, but yeah.
That's true. And there's a track about the war, and there's a track about business.
Mm-hmm.
Opening airlines, business deals, businesses going back to, like, so fair enough. Maybe in this track.
And Trump is interested in that.
Yes, he is. Which is why they send Kirilov here. They send a businessman to talk business. They send Witkoff to talk business. Like, so fair enough. I would tell you though, my heart Trump back down. Like the Grinch's heart just turned to stone immediately. When I saw this, I was like, oh God, this is outrageous. You can't believe, like, part of me thought when Trump said, if I don't get the deal, I'm gonna walk. And I thought to myself, you realize Russia's okay with that, right? They would prefer that.
Well, I think that pressure is more on Ukraine than on Russia, to be honest.
Exactly. Which is why my thought was, okay, he's blaming Ukraine to some degree on this more than that other side.
Because Ukraine's not serious.
Yeah, and they're going to Europe trying to kill the deal. There's that part too.
Yeah.
And so I kept thinking,
that's the thing, right? When you see, when Zelensky's off palling around with Macron, that's what he's on about.
Yeah. So we'll see.
If I were Trump, I'd be like, it's like on Shark Tank. If you go talk to, if I'm all making you an offer, if you go talk to him, I'm out. That's what Trump should be like. Like,
what is your take
Macron, I'm out.
Do you think I'm too brutal on this? Like I said, this was not my original position. I literally was like, I would float for a couple of months to see what happens. Yeah. I would be in purgatory. I would take great expense in regards to paying Airbnbs, not having the place, being a leaf in the wind, just to see what happens. Because I don't know. And I'm aware of the limits of my knowledge in this case. I gave it a month. The first month, I'm like, what the hell are you doing, man? But they're negotiating. So fair enough, you're negotiating. Then they talk. I'm like, okay, well, if they talk, that's good. They had a conversation. But in the back of my mind, I'm like, I don't care what RT or Sputniik say on their website. They don't trust Trump. They don't trust America.
No.
Like they would say, oh, this is the greatest relationship we've had in God knows how long. Oh, we trust Trump because Trump understands the meaning of the war and why it started. Oh, we do this and we do that. And
well, he does. He does understand that. He understands why it started. He does.
He doesn't seem like it.
I think it's because he's like I said, I think he's an adult teenager. He just doesn't have the focus. He's not Jimmy Carter. Or even Bill Clinton. Once I love, I'm from Dayton, where the Dayton Peace Accords were signed, and basically Clinton was one of his brilliant moves was to get the three presidents of the former Yugoslavia to all meet at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in Dayton, Ohio. He lied to them. He said, this is going to be like a nice, secure location, so no one will attack you, especially Milosevic. But the truth was, Clinton wanted to get them into a really heinous, boring Midwestern shithole where they would feel like they would be wanting to get the deal done so they could get the fuck out and go home. And so when negotiations started to bog down, Bill swept in and he was like, listen, there's a French restaurant. You have been eating this shitty food on base. There's a French restaurant in Dayton. There's only one, L'Auberge. We will, and I've seen like the meal plan and all the seating plan and all that framed in the lobby of the restaurant. It's like, if you sign now, all three of you rascals, we all get to go out and eat French food and drink champagne. And they were like, done. That's like, now I don't see Donald Trump, cannily coming up with something like that. I just don't.
No, I do not. And at the point where Zelensky is like, I have 100%. I don't have 99% hatred for Putin. I have 100%. And then he goes like on the interview and he's showing like Russian cities being bombed. It's like, these are from my wall. It's like, okay, dude, we get it. You don't like the guy. You've internalized all of the stuff. Oh. Yeah. It's just wow.
That's the thing. It's kind of like, well, but when it's like, oh, well, I don't know if we can trust these people. They've been bombing our territory. Well, yeah, that's, you don't need to have negotiations with your besties. You need to have negotiations with the people you hate. And it's like, well, I don't know if I can trust them. No, you don't. And they don't know if they can trust you either. Like, that's what diplomacy is. It's for enemies to settle things. So I don't think Zelensky understands that. I don't think he understands what diplomacy is for.
The problem with that is that the United States is not an arbiter in this. They're a participant. And the notion that one of the participants is somehow trying to pretend.
I think Trump's idea was, I wasn't a participant until I became president. Like, this was Biden's war. I'm going to put an end to it when I come in. So and that's why he was like, put Zelensky in his place in the Oval Office. Like, and he's like, I'm not on anybody's side. I'm on the side of peace.
I don't buy that. Nor do the Russians. And
the
Trump
Russians don't buy
brags about sending javelins and all of the sanctions and everything else. Meaning he was in the ramp up to the war also. It's America. It's kind of like what is it called? I had a conversation with Savvy Sabs about it. What is it called? Reparations. It's the reparations argument, right? Where people was like, well, I didn't do anything to you, so why should you get reparations? And it's like, dude, it's not you. Like, nobody believes there's a vampire in a cave somewhere that is responsible for slavery. What they're talking about is the persistence of the U.S. government that was directly involved in crafting laws and everything else that did it. It's the government. It's not the individual. So right. I know Trump wants to take this stance of like, well, I didn't do that. I'm sorry. There's a continuity between presidents in regards to policy that Trump may be trying to turn a bit, but it's still America. And Trump is still a guy who pulled out of all these other deals. And so it's hard. Like, and he doesn't have this focus to do this for months.
When you say that, you bring up an excellent point. Maybe it would have been wise to bring in a neutral arbiter, someone completely removed from this.
Like China?
Like the Chinese. They love these kind of negotiations. They're good at them. Someone that both sides could trust. India, someone.
They tried.
In Central Asia, there's always border disputes in the former Soviet republics. And whenever things get too hot and hairy, the Kyrgyz are always brought in as negotiators. It's like I'll get the Kyrgyz. Like, they're neutral. Everyone respects them. Everyone thinks they're fair. And so, like, if the Uzbeks and the Kazakhs are at it, like, it's like, all right, but finally you'll read, like, Kyrgyz negotiators were brought in, and everyone's like, it's going to be fine. It's like Pulp Fiction, like, call the wolf. Oh, why didn't you tell me the wolf was coming? It's fine. Like, the Kyrgyz are the wolf. And it's like, that's, that's maybe what's needed here is like, is a third, honestly, bring in Vanuatu, bring in someone else,
Yeah.
Chinese would be a great choice.
The Chinese tried, if you remember, and the Europeans and the Americans are like, no.
I think the Europeans are the biggest pain in the ass here, to be honest. I think that's the biggest problem. More so than what the issue of the U.S. succession, Trump inheriting Biden's war. It's really the French and the Brits and the Germans. They're the biggest. They're screwing this up.
They're going to start a war.
I would, if I were Trump, I'd be leaning on them. I'd be like, I'm going to be.
How? He's alienated Europe.
Yeah, well, that's true. He could threaten to withdraw from NATO.
Well, he's pulling troops out, apparently, or considering pulling troops out. I don't know if that's. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's just
NATO shouldn't exist anyway. So
agreed. No, 1,000% agree with you. And I don't know if the 5% thing is a way for him to either force them to increase their military membership, or for him to make an excuse to, like, see, I don't know what is in his mind. It's that part. Like, and maybe nobody does, right?
Yeah.
I try to look at what he does as a clue. And so, like, for example, sidelining the State Department in all negotiations. You use a realist. You use Wickoff. Okay, so does that mean that he ultimately is instinctually trying to get a deal? Or is this some kind of bluff? Just say, well, we tried, and now we can now bomb the Iranians. Like, you made the point, saying nobody knows what the hell he's doing. He's like wreaking havoc around the world, and destroying our economy as he does it.
True.
And yet, nobody knows what the fuck he's doing. It's strange.
Nobody knows.
Strange. Ted, man, I have to. Oh, Jesus Christ! I'm sorry, Ted. Please tell me, like, if I'm missing something.
Can I fit my book before I go?
Absolutely, plug your book.
I just got the print copies early ones, so here they
are. Short.
What's left? Never mind the Democrats. Here's what's left.
Where can they find it?
You can order it on Amazon or anywhere else. And this is kind of like what it looks like. So it's prose. It's got some cartoons mixed in, and it's a political manifesto that basically tries to define policies for if you didn't have a revolution, but you took the existing federal budget and you rejiggered all that money to good stuff instead of bad stuff, what would it look like? And it's like very granular.
Because they always ask, how do you pay for it? And Rall
right. That's always the question, right? So under this system, it's not even like overthrowing capitalism, which is what I want. But we can't do that without a socialist and communist party. So
check the book out if you're looking for answers, solutions, ideas on where the left goes. That's been a question that people have been asking. Where's the left without?
May 1st is the pub date. So if you have trouble buying it, wait till May 1st. International Workers' Day.
Check them out. Ted, thank you for this. I'm so sorry. Please tell me if I'm running
Oh,
over.
no
Let me know.
worries. No worries. I got
Okay.
7.5 whole minutes. I'll be fine.
You be safe, man. Thank you for this. I appreciate it. Thanks, man. And fantastic book. I love the fact that you showed it. Thank you for this. Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Check Ted out on TMI. He's going to be on at 10 o'clock on his very next show. Too Much Information with Manila Chan. She is fantastic. Ted is fantastic. If you get the opportunity on May 1st, check out his book. He's been on the show God knows how many times. He gave me a copy. I'm going to read that copy. PDF form of the copy. So I'm going to read that copy, give him ideas on it, or my take on it. I'm sure it's going to be